council members to move towards your seats. I know that Alderman Gaines has indicated that he wasn't going to be able to be here, and I knew Alderman Witcher was on vacation and he was going to be close if he made it. So it looks like whatever airline that he was with may not have made it. So with that, Ms. Whitby, let me go ahead and ask you to call the roll and as I've convened this meeting.
Yes, sir. Ross?
Here.
White?
Here.
Taylor? Robinson?
Here.
Baggett?
Here.
Height?
Here.
And Witcher is not here.
Can I ask that we stand for the prayer to be led and the pledge by Alderman Baggett? If you could please join me in bowing your heads, please.
Father, we thank you for this time together tonight. We ask you to be with us, to help us make good decisions for our city and our communities. Lord, be with those that couldn't be here tonight, and just help us and guide us through this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So moved.
Motion made, seconded. Minutes of the previous meeting be submitted as distributed. On the is there a motion?
Yes, sir. And a second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
I'm stuck at something.
Let's see if we've got some communications. We have 1 through 5. Do I have a blanket motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Anyone care to have any one of these pulled?
I do 1 and 3,
And 3.
5.
And 5. Tell you what, let's just do them all. I didn't hear the blanket motion. I'll just hear number 1 then. Ms. Whitby, would you read number 1 by title and then accept request?
By title, this is an email from Presley Melton to Mayor Hayes and City Council members regarding light from signs and requesting continued protection of property by prohibiting electronic signs in or near any property zoned residential.
Is there a motion? Why don't we go ahead and get a motion, and then if anybody wants it read further, we'll do that. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made, accepted to accept and file.
Leave it read.
It's been requested it be read, Ms. Whitby.
Sir, this is an email dated Monday, October 26, 2009, to Mayor Hayes, members of the council, etc., to Mayor Hayes, City Council members, and City Attorney Carter. Based on the article in today's Arkansas Democrat Gazette, I think there may be a misconception about the reasons many citizens object to electronic message board signs on or near residential property. It is not just about light from the signs. Although light from signs falling on residential property is surely one of the concerns we have, most of the people with whom I've spoken object to the commercial intrusion those signs would add to a residential area. It is obvious from the current city codes that city leaders in the past have felt it important to protect against this commercialization of neighborhoods. You recently enacted citywide parking regulations limiting the parking of commercial vehicles in residential areas to keep the commercial look out of the neighborhoods. Please continue to protect our property by prohibiting electronic signs in or near any property zoned residential. The amount of light falling on residential property is but one of many objections to electronic changeable message board signs. As commercial development continues to creep toward residential areas, I feel a 300-foot distance from residential areas for any electronic signs would be reasonable protection for someone who has purchased their home with the expectation that the area would remain residential. Exceptions to the 300 feet could be made when the residential property is situated where the sign could not be seen from that residential property. This could solve the dilemma of how to treat commercial property on a street with residential property 1 street behind it, joining it at the rear property line. There was mention at the Wednesday night's meeting about situations like that. This is from Presley Melton.
Motion's been made and seconded that we accept and file on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Number 2.
Let's read it.
It's
Title.
It's a petition requesting speed humps on DeSoto Circle, and there are 13 signatures in favor.
Motion to accept and file.
So move.
Second. On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White? Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Number 3.
Please read it by title.
Yes, sir. This is a letter from Dan Flowers, Director of Highways and Transportation, to Mayor Hayes regarding minute orders relating to a railroad crossing located at Crystal Hill Road.
Motion?
So moved. Second.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Number 4,
Read it, please, by title.
this is a memorandum from Glenda Craigmile from the Mayor's Office regarding a restaurant mixed-drink change of manager from Jason Fallis for Cregan's Irish Pub, 301 Main Street, to James B. Williams.
Motion?
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Number 5,
Please read it. Why don't you read it in entirety? I think that's what probably the intent is.
yes, sir. Letter dated November 9, 2009, to the North Little Rock City Council members from the officers of the Northeast Lakewood Associated Neighborhoods. We respectfully request ordinance 00981 be withdrawn from further consideration after the first reading at tonight's City Council meeting. This ordinance, which proposes to amend the frequency of change for electronic changeable copy signs, is essentially the same proposal that was in Ordinance 0911, introduced in February of this year. After 6 times on the City Council agenda, that ordinance was withdrawn on April 27. On that day, the City Council approved Resolution RO 970, which placed a moratorium on electronic changeable copy signs. The intent was that during this moratorium, City Council members work to develop a comprehensive ordinance to regulate electronic changeable copy signs. City Council members have been working together diligently to write that ordinance. The change frequency should be decided in the City Council's work sessions as they write other regulatory controls and not be considered separately before council members can complete their work on the comprehensive ordinance. That is the reason we request withdrawal of this ordinance from consideration. Sincerely, Charlie Knott, Joe Melton, Judy McDowell, and Wanda Smith.
On the motion?
There's not a motion.
Oh.
So
that's
moved.
that motion.
Second.
On the motion, second
Ross?
file.
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Alderman Baggett, I think you want to introduce some friends of ours from the Salvation Army.
Yes, sir.
If you'd want to take the floor, you're welcome to it.
Oh, well, I'd like to get Major Phil Wise up first to go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about.
We sure do appreciate the Salvation Army. We
Yes,
have
sir.
a long and certainly great partnership with the Salvation Army. I know your facility over in the Barron Cross area, and certainly the work you do all over, but certainly in Central Arkansas. So we appreciate it. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Hayes, and I appreciate the time of the council, and I especially appreciate Sam Baggett for inviting me here, Alderman Sam Baggett. The Salvation Army is located at 1505 West 18th Street in the Barron Cross neighborhood, and we provide help to those who need it the most. Every month we give out food at our food pantry. About 175 to 200 people come in through our doors to get food from our food pantry. Families, children, we have youth programs. This part of the year we do Angel Tree, and this year we're helping 603 families, over 1,200 kids in the North Little Rock area with help with toys for Christmas. This year we are really trying to get out the need for volunteers. We desperately need volunteers for bell ringing, Angel Tree, all sorts of aspects during our Christmas season. And this year, especially with our bell ringing and kettle campaign,
Excuse me 1 second. Mr. Sissons, can you hit the lights a little bit? I'm looking in the monitor back there, and we've got a dark shadow on our speaker, and I want to make sure folks at home get to see all of what we're doing. Now, we don't need to knock our socks off, but at the same time, see if we can get a little bit more light. I think that's helpful. Right there. Robert, thank you.
we desperately need volunteerism from churches, clubs, organizations, from individuals, families. We really need their help this year. Last year we raised $87,000 in North Little Rock, and this year we could raise hundreds of thousands of dollars if we had more volunteers, people to go out and to ring that bell. And it only takes several hours, maybe an hour out of your schedule, but it's greatly needed because then you get into the Christmas spirit and you get to see the giving of the community, and it's also giving back to the community as well. And I just ask that the council support us and through whatever they can to help us this year raise over $100,000 to help the individuals in the Barron Cross neighborhood and North Little Rock.
We would echo that. I know how much a part of the community, again, that the Army is, and certainly during the Christmas season, we're all very familiar with the bell ringers, and we understand how important it is for people to volunteer. It's a challenging time for many, and certainly our folks who are in greater need have at least greater challenges during the current economic time. So we would encourage all to contact the Salvation Army, both to volunteer and certainly, again, when the kettle is ringing in a store that you're near, please don't pass it up.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mayor? I'd
Sam?
like to go
Sure.
Read this about Major Phil Wise. He's been in North Little Rock for 2.5 years and has a total of 15 years experience. He and his wife Cindy run all the North Little Rock Salvation Army programs located at 1505 St. East Street in North Little Rock. And Major Wise, on behalf of myself and Terry Gaines in Ward 3, we'd like to be the first to present this to the Salvation Army as 6 hours of committed time for ringing bells for the Salvation Army. And I'd like to make a challenge to the other council members, Andy Jason and to Ms. Whitby, the other aldermen that would get together in their wards and commit to at least 6 hours of ringing bells in your ward or in your community. So on behalf of North Little Rock and
Ward 3
City
team.
Council,
Ward 3 team.
we're going to Ward 3, we're going to
Let's hear it for the Ward 3 team. And the Salvation. Thank you, Alderman. I note that next on the agenda is public hearings and then citizen comment. I don't see where we have any public hearings, and we have citizen comment, but before we do that, I don't see any comment on our 09165. We have and are honored to have 3 of our state representatives that are present, and without objection, without ask Representative Nichols and Hyde and let's see, Carroll, Carroll and Hyde and Nichols. So, Mr. Hyde, are you the spokesman? At
Yes,
least
sir.
for the present?
I am the senior legislator for the North Little Rock Caucus.
Let me first of all underline our appreciation for the work that all 3 of y'all do on behalf of North Little Rock. I know you're going to comment on R 09165, which is a resolution that we have that, with the council's approval, we're going to try to honor your wishes. And again, in acknowledging that legislation, let us acknowledge very strongly how much we appreciate the 3 of y'all as you work to represent North Little Rock. I know that you have annual sessions beginning, so your job, in accordance with the Arkansas voters, for all practical purposes, doubled. And we do look forward to the first session in January and even number of years, I think, that the history of this state has had. So, gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you, and each of us really appreciate the opportunity to be of service to North Little Rock. And we are very fortunate that in the 87th General Assembly, we were successful in securing general improvement funds in several different forms, coming through several different channels for North Little Rock, the fire department, the senior center, the library, domestic shelter, all 3 food pantries, or 3 of the food pantries located here in North Little Rock, receiving general improvement money, as well as a myriad of other groups. It is our delight, although it's not as much money as we sent through to you 2 years ago, we are still happy that it's some $82,000 that'll be in 2 installments, And as you can see, and I'm assuming you have those letters before you, we're asking that that's be split up and distributed to the Boys Club, Boys and Girls Club for North Little Rock, the Maritime Museum, the Chamber of Commerce and their debt reduction, as well as Butterfly Ministries and their efforts out there in Levy and the after-school program. We really would appreciate if you'd honor that wish, and we thank you, and we thank you for your service. Appreciate a good vote.
Gentlemen?
Representative Hyde is the senior member of our delegation, and it's been a pleasure working with him. He has really helped me out as a freshman representative in the Capitol. I know I've seen Mr. Carter out there several times in the Judiciary Committee, making sure that the laws that we pass do not adversely impact the city of North Little Rock. But I think Representative Hyde did something this past session that I think needs to receive some recognition. He tackled the jail overcrowding problem in a way that you don't see it yet, but it will result in where you will have a place to send your prisoners. It dealt with the funding mechanism for county government, and it kind of slid under the radar, but I think it's something that Representative Hyde can be very proud of, and it will relieve not only this city, but Sherwood, the city of Little Rock, and other cities in this county that have to catch and release. Hopefully now it'll be catch, and we'll keep them behind bars where some of these folks belong. But again, I'd like to echo Representative Hyde's comments. It's been a pleasure working on your behalf, and anything else that you need, please let us know.
We will, rest assured. Richard?
Well, I echo the same response. Representative Hyde and Representative Jim Nichols both were very instrumental with helping me, and I appreciate the time that y'all have allowed us to come before y'all, and we'll look forward to working with the city in the future. Thank you.
Thank all of you, and again, I appreciate Representative Nichols mentioning that. Representative Hyde, and a bit of history, we're a little used to sliding things under the radar screen. Over there, we had what they call the Hoxie Walnut Ridge bill that helped the city become a city, that some might say was under the radar screen. But nonetheless, the radar screen is certainly big on the job y'all do, and the additional opportunity for funding, particularly out of those that commit offenses, and increasing the range of the fine. I believe it's from $5 to $20
$20 per offense.
Per offense is going to make a big difference, and thanks for calling that to our attention. Let me just go ahead and ask Ms. Whitby, unless there's objection again, R09-165, would you please call it?
Yes, sir. A resolution designating certain allocations of state general improvement funds received by the city of North Little Rock.
Do I have a motion?
Move for adoption.
Is there a second? On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Unanimous. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we like to see this happen on a regular basis.
We would too.
Thank you. We can go back now to the comments on legislation. Again, let me remind folks that you need to have signed up. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 who have signed up. And let me just go ahead and ask Mr. Ard to come up first, since you're the only one on one piece. The remainder are on the same piece of legislation. Mr. Ard? And I might tell you, Mr. Ard, I'm going to hold that if, just for your information.
You don't need me to say anything in, but I have a favor. I stood there and forgot to fill out a public comment card, and I told you what I was going to talk about. Will you let me trade out?
Sorry, Mr. Ard. We got to keep the rules. If you can't.
That's okay. Next time will be bigger and better.
Well, we just can't do that, Mr. Ard. We got to keep. Yeah. All right. Now we'll open up the floor for the remainder.
But,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, if anyone's here to talk about, to speak on 09-81, it's gonna be read once, and it's gonna be held, and we're gonna schedule for a public meeting at the next council meeting, so.
Okay. Let me, one of the sponsors has indicated, so just let me still open it up for comments. those down here are certainly entitled, but the legislation will be read once, then in accordance with one of the sponsors will be held until the next council meeting. There will be a public hearing so that save your ammunition for the next time unless you want to shoot early. So take off. Mr. Miller, identify yourself, please.
Scott Miller, I reside at 214 West 5th Street here in North Little Rock. I'm here representing myself as an individual. I do want to speak on this because I frankly think the holding it in public hearings are not the right approach to that. This council set up a process to deal with the signs, the electronic changeable signs. That process includes public hearings, includes a committee, includes everything that you're essentially going to duplicate with this ordinance for a very specific part, which is the timing that is part of this ordinance. It doesn't make any sense. The voters, and I hope this council has to have the confidence that when we start down a process, we're going to finish that process through the end. There's plenty of time to change this from 15 to 5 seconds. Do what you need to at the end if you don't like the results. But doing it now short circuits and cuts off the process that you yourselves have set up. At best, this is premature and preemptive. It's not necessary now. Wait, hold it. At best, it's ill-advised. Why? There's no reason for this. Let the process work. Withdraw it. If you have the votes for this, when we're done in January and you don't like the results, initiate that then. But for us to sit here and have duplicate public hearings between a committee and city council at the same issue, on the same legislation, frankly, just doesn't work and is a waste of your time. And I appreciate you withdrawing this, not just holding it and having public hearings.
Thank you very much. Next.
I'm Charlie Knott. The other officers of Northeast Lakewood Associated Neighborhoods and I have already said what we had to say on this issue in the letter that was read earlier. We did ask that it be held or withdrawn and stated our reasons pretty clearly. I'm sorry to hear the decision's already been made to go forward with it to the next city council meeting. So with that said, I'll withhold further comment till later.
Thank you.
My name is Jo Melton, number 9 Lakewood Drive. Many of us have been down here many, many times concerning this issue, and we're prepared to speak tonight. And we're busy like all of you are busy, and we appreciate the time that you're putting into this. Some of us come to the committee meetings too, and I think that's the place for us to continue to discuss this and try to come to some sort of agreements. And so I simply ask that if you could consider withdrawing this at this time and just please proceed with the committee meetings so that we all don't have to just continue to come down here and express ourselves again. Thanks.
Thank you. There's still several folks who have signed up to speak on this. If you'd care to, now's the opportunity.
My name is Doug McDowell. I live at 4501 Austin in Lakewood Northeast. Also own a business here in North Little Rock, Neighborhood Wine and Spirits. We're over on Camp Robinson Road and have been there in business since 1991. I have about 75 feet of frontage on Camp Robinson Road, and I do have a pole sign out there that's internally lighted. But I'm concerned about the proliferation of these new electronic changeable copy signs due to their brightness and their capability of flashing and scrolling and spinning and changing colors. And my business has about 75 feet of frontage on Camp Robinson Road, and most of the other businesses have similar frontage. Some are larger than others, but if y'all allow these signs to pop up like mushrooms after a rainstorm, there's going to be one panel every 75 to 100 feet up and down both sides of Camp Robinson Road and McCain Boulevard and JFK and Main Street and Broadway. And allowing the images to change every 5 seconds, a drive down one of those thoroughfares is going to be like a ball dropping down the middle of a pinball machine with all the flashing lights, and the only thing missing is going to be the bells and the whistles and the gongs, and perhaps some of these sign people will decide to add speakers and audio, once they get the signs out there. But I think you all went around in a van a couple of weeks ago to look at some of these signs in Sherwood and elsewhere. The biggest one that I know of around here is on Landers Road by the Tractor Supply place. It's a giant billboard sign, but smaller 4x8 panels to mount in front of our neighborhood businesses are going to be just as bright and just as capable of flipping and moving and changing colors and all that stuff as that big billboard over there. And I just think it's going to add to visual pollution in our community in short order. So the 15-second interval on changing messages is not being adhered to now by the ones that are already up in our city. I don't see anything that's going to make them adhere to a 5-second interval if that becomes code. Nobody's enforcing the 15-second now. I don't see any chance of them enforcing the 5-second order in the future, because a lot of them change every second. That's obviously not according to code now, and I don't see any enforcement on the current regulation, so why would we expect that the 5-second interval will be held to? That's all I had to say on this.
Please let us know which ones you choose. And there might be some grandfather. Our sign is a little bit.
Well, I know the one out on the big church on Interstate 40 changes every second.
Now that may be a grandfather, but go ahead.
And the one at the.
No, I don't need to know them now. I just need to just give them to me at just let our office know, and we'll get you an answer on whether there's a grandfather, or if there is, then it may be they may be able to do it more often. If there's not, then you let us know and we'll time it and enforce it.
Right now, there aren't enough of those signs out there to really create a problem. But as soon as they're legalized and the moratorium is over, I got a feeling that they're going to pop up at every business up and down the street, and it's gonna make North Little Rock look like Branson, Missouri, or Las Vegas, or Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I don't think we really want that. Just think about that. Thank you.
But just as a general statement, if anybody sees a sign that they think is rotating presently too much, let us, just contact the mayor's office, code enforcement, and we'll, there's several signs, if I'm not mistaken, that have been grandfathered in terms of having rights to do that. Interstate, on interstate highways has some effect on it, but let us know, because we do our best to enforce everything we understand is a violation. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Faye Kirkwood. I live at 4516 Summers in Lakewood Northeast. The request to drop this to 5 seconds concerns me with regard to safety. Flashing lights, when you see flashing lights, you normally associate that with emergency vehicles, whether it be a fire truck, an ambulance, or whatever. Has anybody talked with the police department to see what the ratio of accidents in the vicinity of these flashing lights is? I mean, these things detract your attention from the road. I mean, that is their purpose, is to get your attention to do their business. So when we're distracting drivers at the expense of safety, I think that's really something we need to look at. That's when we put somebody's business venture ahead of public safety, that's kind of overstepping the bounds. So I think maybe a study with the police department and the other emergency vehicles with the timing of their flashing lights and accident ratios may be in order.
Thank you very much. We've got several others, recognizing you don't have to come to the microphone. It's not mandatory, even if you put your name down. So going once. All right.
I'm Patrick Stair, 411 West 5th. I sent all of you a nice long 2-page memo on my thoughts on safety, so I won't talk about that. But I will talk about how apparently in the newspaper it's come up once again, this discussion of people who want restrictions on the signs, or the people who do not want restrictions on the signs are pro-business. And the implication being that those of us who want restrictions are anti-business. Now, I've mentioned this before, but it really irks me to see this coming up again, because the implication is that if I'm pro-safety, I must necessarily be anti-business. But you know, I can take just a very short time, and I can find a dozen people that I know who have businesses from Broadway all the way up to Kiel. Businessmen who own their own businesses, pay their payrolls. Most people I know who are not retired rely on businesses to give them a paycheck. I rely on businesses to pay taxes to run this city. I spend most of my money in North Little Rock to support North Little Rock businesses. I cannot imagine that I am anti-business, which is just really a foolish thing to think. Who is anti-business? And besides that, this is a false comparison. Is it anti-business to ask for lead-free gasoline or seat belts? No, this is pro-safety. Is it anti-business to ask for water heaters that don't explode, or medicines that don't make you sick, or food at the restaurant that doesn't kill you? No, this is pro-safety, not anti-business. Is it anti-business to require smoke detectors in your apartments or to require fire exits at work in businesses? No, it's pro-safety, not anti-business. Is it anti-business to require to protect our children with lead-free toys or safety caps on hazardous chemicals? No, this is pro-safety. I mean, the only business I know, well, the only people I know that are going to applaud something that is anti-safety, the only businesses that are improved by reducing safety might be where you want to bury people. They might do better with anti-safety. Because I am pro-safety and I want to save people does not mean that I'm anti-business. And I really wish that they would not come up so that we could clearly look at this as a piece of legislation for the best for all people in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and, Mr. Ard, you signed up to speak on this one too. Going to pass on this one?
You wouldn't do the favor, so I'll speak on this.
We're good, Mr. Ard. We're not trying to do favors, we're just trying to follow the rules.
That's okay. Personally, I do feel that 5 seconds is acceptable. The people are trying to do a business out there. If this will help them promote this day and time, to promote their business, because times are hard. I would appreciate you voting for it, and Mayor, that means you're probably going to have to break a tie. They vote on it. I am happy that Charlie's not voting with Murray, but I do think the citizens that have business should have the right to say what they want to in a reasonable length of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ard. And not seeing anybody else, let me go ahead and adjourn the public comment on legislation period. And Ms. Whitby, I think the next thing now we go to unfinished business.
Yes, sir. RO9-141, Mayor Hayes.
Please call it.
New business, RO9-156, Mayor Hayes.
Please call it.
A resolution declaring certain buildings, houses, and other structures located at 125 West Emily in the city of North Little Rock to constitute a public nuisance and condemning such structures, providing a period of time for property owner to abate said nuisance.
How about getting a motion, and then I'll let the public hearing, and then I'll call for a vote.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second for adoption, convening a public hearing on 125 West Emily, condemning that property. The listed owner is Duchess Bank National Trust Company. Going once, going twice on the public hearing. Adjourn the public hearing, call the vote.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Taggett?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
RO9-157, Mayor Hayes.
Please call
A
it.
resolution declaring certain buildings, houses, and other structures located at 1022 East 2nd Street in the city of North Little Rock to constitute a public nuisance and condemning such structures, providing a period of time for property owner to abate said nuisance.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Can we see who's visiting out there? All right, public hearing, let me call a public hearing on R09-157, the condemning the property located at 1022 East 2nd Street. The listed owner is Reva Perry, deceased, care of Nandra, N-A-N-D-R-E, Urban. Open for, hearing is open for comment. Going once, going twice. During the public hearing, on the vote.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
R09-158, Mayor Hayes.
Please call
A
it.
resolution certifying the amount of a cleanup lien to be filed with Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real property located at 307 Short in the city of North Little Rock.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Made and seconded, convene a public hearing on 307 Short regarding the filing of a cleanup lien. Listed owner is Charles Calmes, C-A-L-M-E-S. The amount of the lien is $2,927.75. Public hearing is open. Going once, going twice. During the public hearing, on the vote.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
R09-159, Mayor Hayes.
Call it.
A resolution certifying the amount of a cleanup lien to be filed with Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real property located at 2207 and a half Poplar Street in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Let me declare a public hearing on 2207 and a half Poplar Street with regard to the certifying a cleanup lien. The listed owner is Sylvester West. The amount of the lien is $2,811.22. Public hearing is open. Going once, going twice. During the public hearing, on the motion.
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
R09-160, Mayor Hayes, Mr. Carter, something. Mayor Hayes and Mr. Carter has a comment.
All right. Before, or what do you want to do, Mr. City Attorney?
Mayor, we'd gotten a check in satisfaction of that lien. We recently received it, so I can't guarantee that it'll clear yet. I'm assuming that it will, but I just asked for it to be held, and once funds are deposited, and I'll probably bring this up at the next council meeting, ask for you to withdraw it.
We can do it one of two different ways, Mr. City Attorney. We can go ahead and adopt it, and then if the check clears, we can put the brakes on it, or we won't go forward with it, or we can go ahead and wait. You just tell us what you want to do.
I'd just as soon you hold it, Mayor. We've got a check in hand, and we wouldn't have to go back and repeal it or anything like that.
I'll be fine. It'll be held.
Okay.
Next item, Ms. Whitney.
R09-161, Mayor Hayes.
Please call it.
A resolution certifying the amount of a cleanup lien to be filed with Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real property located at 1102 East Washington Avenue in the city of North Little Rock.
Please, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, declare a public hearing on the certification of a lien, cleanup lien on 1102 East Washington Avenue. The listed owners are George and Barbara Royce. The amount of the lien is $4,173.88. Public hearing is open. Going once, going twice. During the public hearing, on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
R09-162, Mayor Hayes.
Please call it.
A resolution certifying the amount of a cleanup lien to be filed with Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real property located at 601 West 25th Street in the city of North Little Rock.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Let me call a public hearing on cleanup lien certification of the property located at 601 West 25th Street. The listed owner is Wilbert Hobbs. The amount of the lien is $1,939.69. My comments are available at the microphone. Going once, twice. During the public hearing, on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
R09-163, Mayor Hayes.
Please call it.
A resolution certifying the amount of a cleanup lien to be filed with Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real property located at 318 Short Street in the city of North Little Rock.
So moved.
Second. Motion made and seconded with regard to the certification of a cleanup lien on property located at 318 318 Short Street. The listed owner is Larry Davis in the amount of $2,211.66. Public hearing's open. Once, going twice. Adjourn the public hearing on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
RO-9164, Mayor Hayes.
Please call it.
A resolution appointing Joseph Savoy to the position previously held by Myra Runyon on the Senior Citizens Commission.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Mr. Savoy, I don't know if he's here. I don't think he is. I know I had a chance to visit with him a little earlier, and we want to underline our appreciation for him joining that crew. It's a terrific. We learned, as just a point of interest, unless someone comes and corrects us, Mr. Baxter was doing some research and found that of all the senior centers in the country, that we are number one in attendance by at least an average of 200 to 250 a day. The next largest senior center was somewhere in the 400 to 500 range, and we're somewhere in excess of 700 average patrons a day. So that makes us the most single attended senior center in the country. And Mr. Baxter is and his crew, along with all the volunteers, we certainly do our congratulations on that piece of information. And that commission is doing a great job in helping us give guidance to that. So with that on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
RO-9166, Alderman Gaines and Baggett.
Call it.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to accept the donation of certain property from Marty Lynn and Amy Howard.
Move for adoption, but
Let me just make sure, I know that it's, I think we've taken a look at that. I just want to make sure that's something that staff has had a chance to review. Alderman, if I know because there's certain obligations that come with assuming that the ownership of that property.
Yes, sir, they have. They notified us and talked to us about it.
All right.
Mr. Voles is heading this way.
Paul?
The owners approached Alderman Gaines, wanted to offer this. We did look at the property. We had it appraised, provided that appraisal to them, and they still want to donate those two lots. There are two lots, really, that are developable on the end of the street. There are houses all along Parkview, and fairly steep, but they're developable with services and utilities.
Alderman, we sure appreciate that. Is there any kind of direction that they're asking for that donation?
No. The only thing they don't ever built up there, I think, is a park. We attend their meetings at Scenic Hill Crime Watch Group, and they don't want a park built there. So whatever the city would...
My understanding is they wanted residential, or is that correct?
That's right.
I mean, they were asking for a tax write-off for the donation to the city of these two lots, and but I think our plan is to hope to get two houses built there.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and go forward, and we can make sure. We certainly don't want to acquire something without having a comfort level as to what the grantor is intending. So if they're interested in a park being up there, that may be something the neighbors might, but you're not aware of that, Mr. Boyle?
No.
They do not,
Alderman
they've
Gaines.
agreed that they do not want a park up
Do
there.
not want
Did
to.
not
No,
want a
do
park.
not, do not.
All right. Well, then that's certainly fine with me. We go forward, unless Alderman, City Attorney Carter, and then Alderman Ross. Go ahead.
One of the things I wanted to point out, just at this juncture, because we're talking about accepting this right now, is that the language of the resolution authorizes the mayor and city clerk to sign these, but if there's certain I's have to be dotted and T's have to be crossed down the line, those can be done, and that can be handled in stride. So it gives you authorization to accept that donation, but does not compel or direct you to do that.
Okay, well, let's go ahead, unless the council feels otherwise, let's go forward, and then, if we find something that might give us a pause, then we'll recognize the authorization of the legislation rather than the mandatory nature of it. Alderman Ross?
This is just a question, and this has nothing to do with this property whatsoever. This is just something, and Mr. Voles, this is for you. When we accept property like this, do we do any kind of soil samples? Do we How do we check these properties out when someone donates property to the city? I'm just curious.
We looked at the
How do we know
property.
what we're getting?
We did not do an environmental assessment. We just had it appraised and I have the appraisal document, but it's never been developed. So we don't believe there's any pollution on the property. It's wooded land, and it's never been developed. It was just residual lots out of that street.
Oh, and this is nothing against this. I was just curious.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
On a small parcel like this, the environmental assessment would probably cost more than
Land's worth.
the 2 lots are worth.
Okay.
But they've never been developed.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Motion made and seconded on the motion.
There's no motion.
Oh, well, then let's have one. Is there one?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
09167, Alderman Ross and White.
Please call it.
A resolution accepting the low bid and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with Lambert Construction Company Incorporated for sidewalk improvements to Percy Machen Street from Pershing Boulevard to 33rd Street, 2008 CDBG-R funds, and the 34th year 2008 and 35th year 2009 CDBG programs in the amount of $196,594.
Move for adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
City Attorney, you want to tell us real quickly the progress that we've had on, now I think this is the three-party, you were going to visit with Mr. Engstrom's lawyer, I believe. Did you ever, no, maybe this.
I'm sorry, I thought you said me.
Oh, we'll stay up here. We may need you.
Okay.
Okay, is this the same project? I know we have visited, and I was able to talk to him, but he was sick. So we haven't streamlined the entire contract out yet because the flu bug strikes, and that happens. But we have made contact, and I think we're not going to have any trouble working through our issues over that.
Alderman Ross, this is the same project we're talking about.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
all right.
Okay. I didn't know if there's any other further questions. This is a sidewalk, actually installing some sidewalks and make them more ADA accessible. Plus, we have people in that area on the street with wheelchairs, and so this is really a great project.
I think we're all excited about it. We're just trying to work out some problems.
Yes.
Alderman Ross?
This was also one of the ones that we'd been looking at with the stimulus dollars that were added to
Correct.
this.
Correct.
And it happened to be one of the ones that was the closest shovel-ready, I guess you would say.
That is
And that's
true.
why this one received the stimulus dollars that it did. That could
That is
not be
correct.
used.
We're all excited about it. We want to make sure we get that property worked out. And I know our city attorney will work with Mr. Ingram's lawyer, and we'll get that done, and let's start building. I think now we've got a contract authorization. We're ready to go. On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Ordinance 0975, Mayor Hayes.
Now, please call it.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 7973, which fixed rates for services furnished by the sewer system of North Little Rock, Arkansas, prescribing other matters pertaining thereto. First reading.
Let me go ahead and hold it and set a public hearing for that at the next council meeting. This legislation was referred some months ago, and unfortunately, the number of people who were predicted to sign up for sewer services was not achieved, and as such, those that did, in order to retire the bonds, and this is outside the city limits of is. And we were assisting with this legislation. So we're having to amend that to increase the rates in order to make up for the lack of customers that unfortunately didn't sign up. There'll be a public hearing on that at the next council meeting, and we'll deal with it at that time. With that, next item.
Ordinance 0976, Mayor Hayes.
Please call it.
An ordinance defining NERC, FERC compliance services for the North Little Rock Electric Department to be professional services under Arkansas law. First reading.
Let's go ahead and take that to second reading, and then I want somebody from the electric department to come on over if they're over.
Suspend the rules and place it on second reading.
Second.
On the motion, suspend the rules.
Ross? White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
An ordinance defining NERC and FERC compliance services for the North Little Rock Electric Department to be professional services under Arkansas law. Second reading.
Tell you what, I don't see anybody coming, so I'm not in any big hurry. Huh? Sisson, you want to see if he's over there, and in the meantime, we'll hold that in advance. Well, we'll give him a second or two. Is he? Tell you what, let's go to the next one. We'll hold that. We'll just set that aside, and Mr. Russ will get. Mr. Osborne, you want to see where if he's whether he needs something to happen, and if he does, help us get somebody down here to answer any questions if we need to. I don't think we're in a real hurry for this, but next item.
Ordinance 0977, Alderman Ross.
Please call it.
An ordinance granting a conditional use to allow a daycare center in a C3 zone for certain real property located at 910 West 25th Street in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas. First reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place it on second reading.
Second.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
An ordinance granting a conditional use to allow a daycare center in a C3 zone for certain real property located at 910 West 25th Street in the city of North Little Rock. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules, place it on third reading.
Second.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
An ordinance granting a conditional use to allow a daycare center in a C3 zone for certain real property located at 910 West 25th Street in the city of North Little Rock. Third and final reading.
On the question? Jim?
No, I
Ross?
just wanted
Where's the
to make sure, see if Ms. Hall is here in case anybody has any questions. Is Mrs. Hall here? Yeah, she's here. Okay. All right, I didn't know if anybody had any questions.
All right, on the question?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
Ordinance 0978, Alderman Gaines and Baggett.
Assume you want that called.
Yes, call it, please.
This is an ordinance accepting the dedication of North Shore Court to the city of North Little Rock. First reading.
Now we're going to suspend the rules. Is that
Motion to suspend the rules and place on the first reading, please.
Second.
on the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
An ordinance accepting the dedication of North Shore Court in the city of North Little Rock. Second reading.
Motion to suspend the rules and place on the second reading, please.
Third.
Third reading, I'm sorry.
I'll second that motion.
Motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
An ordinance accepting the dedication of North Shore Court in the city of North Little Rock. Third and final reading.
On the question?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor? Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Ordinance 0979, Alderman Gaines and Baggett.
Call it, please.
This is an ordinance accepting the dedication of Commerce Cove in the city of North Little Rock. First reading.
Motion to suspend the rules and place on the first reading.
Second reading.
Second reading, sorry.
Second.
Ross? I guess
Yes.
Okay. White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
This is an ordinance accepting the dedication of Commerce Cove in the city of North Little Rock. Second reading.
Motion to suspend the rules and place on the third reading.
Second.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
This is an ordinance accepting the dedication of Commerce Cove in the city of North Little Rock. Third and final reading.
On the question?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Ordinance
Mayor, I'd
09.
like to compliment the team from Ward 3 on getting these people to dedicate all this land here in the city of North Little Rock tonight.
We now get to take care of it.
I do my best work there.
Better hope they got good
The effort is
utilities.
acknowledged, appreciated, and now we get to take care of it. Next item?
Ordinance 0980, Alderman Gaines and Baggett.
Call it, please.
This is an ordinance granting a special use to allow 50 short-term rentals at an apartment complex in an R4 zone for certain real property located at 12025 Paul Eels Drive in the city of North Little Rock. First reading.
I'd like to suspend the rules, place on second reading.
Second.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
This is an ordinance granting a special use to allow 50 short-term rentals at an apartment complex in an R4 zone for certain real property located at 12025 Paul Eels Drive in the city of North Little Rock. Second reading.
I'd suspend rules, placed on third reading.
Second.
Let's run this and then we can ask questions on the motion.
Cross.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Baggett.
Yes.
And Height.
Yes.
This is an ordinance granting a special use to allow 50 short-term rentals at an apartment complex in an R4 zone for certain real property located at 12025 Paul Ills Drive in the city of North Little Rock. Third and final reading.
Questions?
Lots. Okay.
Lots?
Lots of questions, yes.
Mr. Boyd, you want to come up here? And we'll see if we can help answer some questions.
And the applicant is here, the lawyer for the Lindsay Company is here today.
Is that Mr. Jarrett? Is he here? Oh, okay. I spoke to him on the
He
phone
can
this
probably
morning.
answer your question.
Probably.
Both of y'all stand.
Yeah, why don't you both stay up here? Today, I was discussing, will these, the apartments, will the executive suites be spread out throughout the complex, or will they all be in one individual complex?
Yes, ma'am.
And they are to be spread out?
I have your answer. I have a little map of our complex. After we talked today, I called our manager, Jenny Walski.
Boy, just hand it to the side there and let them pass it around.
And all of these, the short-term rentals will be contained in 4 buildings. Building number 1, which is right across the parking lot from the clubhouse, that one will be all, when I say executive units, that's what Mr. Lindsay calls these short-term rentals. Building number 1 will be all short-term rentals. That's the way it's set up right now. It's planned. Building 31, which is catty corner to the pool there, half of it is set up, the back half, to be executive units. And then buildings 13 and 14, which are on kind of the backside there by the lake, the backside of those 2 units are currently set up to be executive units. And it's my understanding that in buildings, the last 3, 31, 13, and 14, that the units that are not, there's 12 units in each building. The units that are not the executives, they're going to be furnished units. And the only difference between those 2 is the executive units. We put some toiletries, some dishwashing detergent, and some sheets in there. In the furnished units, when you rent it, we give you the furniture. And when I talked to Ms. Wolski, she indicated that in 31, 13, and 14, that people actually were looking to get, the people who were renting the furnished units were military, people from military base, and then some people who have rented some like 3-month executives have also moved in there. So it's basically they're military people also. So it's the same type people who are getting the executive units as they are the furnished units right now.
Okay, I think my other question was, so they are notified before they move in that they are, if this is approved, that they will be living next door to short-term stay?
What Ms. Wolski told me is the 3 buildings that have both, that people have actually requested to be next to them, because they're going to be empty some. I don't know their reasoning, but yes, they are notified ahead of time that they're executives. On 13, they're only on the top floor of the backside. 14 is the full backside, and then 31 is the full backside. But yes, they are told that those executive units are in the buildings.
Okay, and now I also understand that y'all do background checks. Who does the background checks, and who keeps up with these? And does the city have access if we need to see your background checks, if anything ever happens, or, I mean, how does that work?
Because of privacy laws, we can't give you the background checks, but we do them. It's one thing that Mr. Lindsay does we have 32,000 units. Anybody who signs an agreement with us has to go through the background check. It's Southwest Credit does the credit background check. I can't call off the top of my head who does the criminal, but they do also. And if you have a felony or I don't want to speak out of turn, but it's a sexual related offense that's a misdemeanor, a lot of those will flag also. So any felony flags, and then I think it's a certain type of misdemeanor will flag also.
Can we get Chief Bradley up here?
Everybody does.
Can we get Chief Bradley? I just want to ask Chief Bradley about these background checks, how accurate the background checks are and everything. Is Chief Bradley?
Coming.
What? Oh, there he is. I'm just curious on the background checks, because I know, some background checks, all you're doing is checking credit, and then what Mr. Jarrett was talking about, do you know, are those effective background checks? Do you know anything about those?
I'm not familiar with the background checks that his company is doing, but it's pretty common for some of the larger apartment complexes to do those background checks, and those that are doing good background checks go beyond credit checks and do criminal history checks. So, and it sounds like that's what he's doing.
Okay.
Alderwoman Robinson, then Alderwoman White.
Well, my question is not regarding background checks. My question would be to Robert Voiles. This particular apartment is a high-dollar apartment when you look at the amount of money. Are we setting a precedent? And when I say that is, what if we have an apartment complex that comes in that's in X neighborhood and they want to do the same? And their rent may not be no more than $300 or $400 a month. So are we setting a precedent if we allow this to occur?
Yes, this is under special use. Any other apartment complex that wanted to do this would have to apply for a special use, and you may be under the equal protection problem if this is approved. But every case stands on its own. This is a fairly unique setting with the golf course. And you could have other reasons attached to it. It looks like all the short-term are right on the golf course, so maybe they don't want the golf ball hitting.
My thing is, if you approve one, even though this is a high dollar, I mean, what if, another apartment complex comes in and they want to do the same thing, and their price may not be as much. So I'm thinking we're opening up a precedence here. Because right now, are we offering this anywhere in the city?
No.
Okay.
Alderwoman White.
I have a question. I have a question about hotels and motels in North Little Rock. Do we have hotels and motels that a person can stay for less than a day in North?
I believe so.
Okay, so that could be extended to this as well?
I would.
Day rentals.
They're dailies, and I would like to say that the vast majority, and I would say above 75% of just these executives, are monthly or longer. Where we make our money are monthly, normal apartment rentals. We would not do anything that is going to jeopardize our monthly apartment rentals. Right now, we are full, other than the few units that we're reserving if this ordinance passes. Mr. Lindsay is not going to do anything that is going to jeopardize that. These units are very much in the confined, if you will, inside our property. We have warehouse and Walmart. We have many warehouses are in that corner across from 13 and 14, and then Walmart is south of the clubhouse and 1 over there. These are not opening up. I mean, these are not close to any of the houses. The only houses that are close to these are over in Maumelle, and they're really buffered by 3 or 4 holes of golf. That's the reason that big chunk of golf is over there. This isn't going to put any more traffic on the roads that isn't already there going back to Paul Wills or through Walmart. So we've tried to put them in an area that is, I mean, from the outside, there's no way you would know this is going on.
Alderwoman White, all right.
Well, I just want to say that what Alderwoman Robinson brought up about us taking this on with one apartment complex in the city, what doors are we opening up in the future? And it's something we need to really think about.
One of my questions was, I have a major problem with the one-day stay. I would not vote for the whole thing over the one, if it wanted to be amended to maybe monthly, I might consider it, but the weekly and the one day, I have a problem with that because I think we're opening the door to everything, to every apartment complex in the city when we do that. While yours has the golf course and it's nice, we have to be uniform throughout the city how we apply this. And if we apply this to you and we say, yes, because you have a nice golf course, the next one that comes along, we have to look at them on the same level. And another question is the A&P tax collected on this also?
Yes.
On the monthly rental? Because it's an extended...
Anything less than a month, is considered, it applies for the AMP and the HMR tax.
Okay, so if it's over 35, then you do have to collect the full. Under 35 is the 1%, is that correct? So you'll be collecting the full 3% on the AMP?
Anything less than a month, we collect the same thing that hotels and motels do.
Okay.
Mayor, am I next?
Sure.
Okay. My thing is, I have a real problem with it. And even though I think that, it's high dollar and all, but my problem is, we're going to have some type of, not from you, to me, in my mind, some type of legislation or something in place, or some type of guidelines or something in place, because this is going to open the door for other apartment complexes that have problems, cash flow or problems renting out, or they may want to rent out to some executives. So to me, to grant you, and then someone else comes in with one, and we deny them. And why? Because they don't have a golf course, they don't have a swimming pool. So we're going to need some type of guidelines or something in place to protect us, Robert, when we do this.
Well, Ms. Robinson, I would like to say that this is a very, very large complex. We're in a relatively commercial area. The impact that we're having on our neighbors is, I'm not going to say zero, but it's as next to zero as you can get. We had to apply for the special use permit. The next person, if someone else comes through, they're going to have to apply for a special use permit also. And I think just the impact on the surrounding neighborhood, we're going to do our criminal background checks, we're going to do our credit checks, we're going to do everything we can so this would not impact primarily us and our neighbors. So if the next person that came through could not meet the council standard for ensuring safety to their neighbors, I think that would be really the reason that a special use permit is there, is each case is special, and you got to take all of the circumstances together to see exactly if it's a good thing for the city or if it's not.
Let me, Alderman, let me just mention one of the things that I know is at least causing me greater, I won't say concern, that's not a good word, because I know coming down the hill, you look over to the, what used to be the Holiday Inn and used to be the Ramada Inn, and and it has extended stay monthly, per month, and so your hotels and motels, at least some of them, that are more economical in terms, or somewhat economical, or moving toward an extended stay. Your suites are moving toward extended stay. And perhaps the converse, obviously, at least in this instance, is obviously true with this request. So I understand the concern that's been expressed, and yet at the same time, I, at least in some respects, I think that that a person has an opportunity to try to not only maximize their return on their investment, but with certain protections to make sure that not only their property but their neighbors. The thing that was of great interest to me in terms of those people that were located in close proximity to your proposed short-term occupants or rentals were a little bit, both informed as well as otherwise, but I also agree that there maybe needs to be some guidelines in terms of what the council might want to do in the future. So I'm at least at this point, and I don't know that I'd be in a position to vote, but can understand comments that were made in terms of concern about future precedents, but at the same time, and I think there ought to be a way for us to move forward with this. At least that's my opinion. I know we've got several council members who aren't here, one of whom is a co-sponsor. So, my suggestion would be to at least hold this until the next council meeting and see if Alderman Baggett would concur, to see whether there's any further, both either explanation or perhaps modification that we might want to consider. I know Alderman Baggett had his hands raised.
We took a ride along on this to go out here and look at that, and it's very nice property out there. I understand that this wouldn't go over maybe in some parts of the city. Like the mayor was saying, the hotels are going to extended stays and things like that too. Business people, executives, military people that are coming to our state and staying are going to be staying in these places out there. So I think it's a very proper thing and a good thing that it's going to bring some good stuff to our city to go forward. And I do want to hold the legislation, Mayor, till next time. Also, the A&P supports this.
Alderwoman Robinson.
I'm very familiar with the apartment complex. Matter of fact, I've been there on tour, so I know what's around it, and so I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah, we just, I think everybody wants to get a little bit more comfortable either with, whether there's a presidential activity that's being generated here or whether there's some further work that we might want to do. And there's 2 council members absent. Alderman Baggett indicated one of it held. Alderwoman Ross.
Well, I can't say I went on the tour, but I toured myself when nobody knew I was there. So, but one thing that I wanted, that this handout that we were given, that you gave us on the different buildings, there's nothing in here that's in the actual piece of legislation. And I'd like to have that entered in here somewhere so that so that it is actually in that building, so we'll know where they are.
Without
Just for
objection,
future
Ms. Whitby, you do have a copy of the map, don't you? If you'll attach that to the principal legislation so that anyone who wants to refer to that, and we'll just attach it without objection as Exhibit A. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank
we'll
you.
see what progress we can make between now and next council meeting.
Sounds good, thank you.
Mayor, there is an Exhibit A. Do you want this just to be?
Be Exhibit B then, Ms. Whitby.
Next items, 00981, Alderman Height, Taylor, Gaines, and Baggett.
Please call it.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 7697, the zoning ordinance to decrease the electronic frequency interval for changeable copy signs, first reading.
I'd like to hold that and request a public hearing on same for the next council meeting, which would be November 23rd.
November,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That'll be done.
Okay. Ordinance 0982, Alderman Ross.
Please call it.
An ordinance amending ordinance 8128, the parking ordinance, first reading.
Suspend the rules, placed on second reading. Oh.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. On the motion, suspend the rules.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 8128, the parking ordinance, second reading.
Move to suspend the rules, placed on third reading.
Second.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 8128, the parking ordinance, third and final reading.
Alderman Ross?
What this is, anytime, it seems like every time we do something, there's always something else, but when we were working on the parking regulations, and then when we were doing in the LRD parking district, something always comes up. And this was something that was brought up after the fact, and I'm going to let Mr. Carter kind of explain what this is for us.
All right.
Here's the problem. When you have a trailer, sometimes we treat a trailer like it's a commercial vehicle. If a backhoe sitting on it, we treat it like it's a commercial vehicle. Sometimes we treat it like a recreational vehicle, such as if a boat is sitting on the trailer. We consider it all one unit. We treat it all the same. The question is, what do you treat an empty trailer, or what do you treat a cargo trailer? You don't know what's inside of it. It's not labeled on the outside. So the intent of this amendment is to establish standard regulations. If we don't have a standard rule for a type of trailer, like we have rules that exist that pertain to tractor trailer rigs, we have rules that exist that pertain to pop-up or camper trailers. But when we don't have specialized rules, then we treat the trailer as a recreational vehicle unless one of the conditions that's listed is met, such as if it's a large trailer, if it clearly has commercial cargo on it where you can see it's a commercial trailer, or if it's labeled as a commercial trailer. If it doesn't meet those conditions, then we're going to treat it as a recreational trailer, and just clarifies the rules for code.
Okay, one more thing. And what this is, the enclosed trailers, when code, if someone calls and says there's a commercial trailer, how does code know if it's a commercial trailer if they've got their Harley stored in it? They don't know. So And they are not allowed to, I mean, basically, by law, they can't go up there and make them open the trailer, is that correct?
You can always ask, or you can try to go
Right.
get a search warrant, but then, when you're driving through town, you see trailers sitting around, are we going to stop and get a search warrant for every trailer that we see?
This is basically something to make it uniform so that code can say, yes, that's an enclosed trailer. If you can't see it, really, what difference does it make is what they're saying. That's it.
All right, why don't we go ahead and get a motion if you want to go move it forward? Motion to adopt. on
Motion to
third.
adopt, third and final.
Is there a second?
Second.
On that motion?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
We need to go back to 00976. Hold it. He wants you to hold that. That's the one on the electric department.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, I know that it was explained to me, and I just want to make sure that both you, the remaining council members, if you have any questions, it's a movement in the area of trying to ensure that we've got pathways for our transmission, but apparently our general manager has had a schedule conflict, and so I don't think there's any reason that we need to move that forward without him being here. So with that, let's hold it.
Well, I was going to say, really, the only thing that we're accomplishing by adopting this ordinance is what procedure we would use in case we hired someone to help us with these type of technical assistance with obtaining pathways that gets electricity from a power plant to the city of North Little Rock. As I guess everyone's aware of, when we adopted our recent wholesale power contract, we were able to facilitate an advantageous contract through the use of professional services versus bidding. It's an alternate method through which we can obtain services through the professional services mechanism. If we're going to follow that through professional services versus bidding, then City Council has to declare that to be a professional service and adopt an ordinance. So really all you're doing is declaring the method through which services could be acquired. If it would be through the professional services where we ask for qualifications and select the people who are most qualified, or if we would follow a bidding method.
And recognizing, too, that any selection would come back to this council for authorization.
Absolutely.
If anybody has any questions or would like for me to hold, I'll be happy to. If you want, I'll be happy to go forward. All right, let me have a motion to go forward then.
So move.
Yep. Motion made and seconded on third and final. Ms. Whitby?
Actually, it's been read 2 times, so that would
Okay,
be to
let's read it.
suspend the rules. Okay. Well, I have read it.
Oh,
That
so
would
you
be
need
a-
to suspend the rules?
You need to
Yes.
suspend the rules?
Okay,
Okay.
motion made to suspend the rules then.
Okay.
Change my motion.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
And Height?
Yes.
An ordinance defining NERC and FERC compliance services for the North Little Rock Electric Department to be professional services under Arkansas law, third and final reading.
On the question?
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett? And Height?
Yes.
Concludes new business.
All right, and it includes old business too, all right, Ms. Whitby?
Yes, sir.
Any council member? Let me declare the public hearing open. We have several folks that have signed up. If you signed up, please feel free to come and enjoy your 3 minutes or less if you choose. If not, we'll also acknowledge that. Microphone's open.
Know who I am already. I was hesitant to speak again. I don't want to wear out my welcome, but this is important to me. One of the things that has been discussed in the ordinance that's been proposed by Alderman Height and helped in writing with the sign representatives is allowing the schools, the elementary schools in our neighborhoods to have these signs that change. I have a real concern that people coming up, especially if we reduce this rate to 5 seconds, kids are getting out of school. Where do we really want our attention to be? Looking at the sign or paying attention to where the children are coming out of the school. For years now, when there was a notice about a PTA meeting, they sent it home with the kids. That's the way it worked for us for years. The kids who are bused, their families aren't going to see these signs anyway. I'm concerned on several levels why we're considering having these in the neighborhoods. And for sure, if we're going to reduce the rate to 5 seconds, that's calling attention to the signs more than where I think the attention should be. I see a lot of advocacy for the signs. I'm not seeing a lot of advocacy for the children. And I hope that you all consider that. I hope that the public considers that. And if people out in the public have a concern about this, that they express it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to address a different situation. There was a Lakewood Neighborhood Association meeting on October the 20th. At said time, a suggestion of a sign overlay was brought up during that meeting by Murray Witcher, who is our alderman for our ward. The next day, I sent an email to Murray, and he replied back to me on the same day saying that Mr. Carter was out of town and he needed some verification on how to go about securing this sign overlay. That was on, then saying that Jason wouldn't be back until the 22nd. Then on the 25th, I sent an email to Mr. Carter with a copy to Murray asking for this information as to how to secure this sign overlay or how to go about and what the required information was. Then on 11/4, I sent an email to Murray with copies to the mayor, Mr. Hyatt, Mr. Carter, and to the Lakewood neighbors that are on my mail list, asking for this same information. That's been approximately 3 weeks. Tonight at 6 o'clock, when I left, I checked my email. I've had no response from any of these correspondents. I don't think I'm asking for anything unreasonable. The subject of a sign overlay was brought up to me, and now that I'm questioning it, I get no information. I think someone needs to reply and explain what the sign overlay can do for us and how we secure it. I think sometime within 3 weeks, even a secretary could send an email and say it's under consideration, it's not possible, or something. If you all did not get a response in 3 weeks, you would be livid. I'm not angry, I just want an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? On the motion to adjourn.
Ross?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baggett?
Yes.
Height?